I'm so glad you could join me today in Frugal Willie Mae's kitchen. Today I'm going to be cooking, but I'm not going to be cooking food. I'm going to be cooking soap. I recently had a family member who had been saving a lot of the soap slivers. So the family member had saved up 1 pound, 2 ounces of soap slivers. That is 563 grams for those that are in other countries. We're going to get started, and I'm going to show you how we get these to where we can reform it or rebatch it into new blocks of soap. So the family member that had saved up all the slivers had already bought the molds to make bigger bars of soap, but never got around to it. He says, "Would you like to make this video?" I said, "Sure." So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to make these bars of soap. So I have chopped up a lot of the soap slithers, and I went 2 or 3 different processes to see which one is going to be the quickest. If you see, some of these are kind of big. Some of them are like almost dust. And this has a scent. This is like Safeguard soap. Every one of them are the same. Method number 1 that I tried was using a food grater or vegetable grater and getting it very, very fine. Well, that takes a good while to do it like that. It also can hurt your shoulder. I have a shoulder issue, so doing this for a long period of time would cause it pain. So you can see how little that I've done just in a short while. Now I do have a really good knife that I thought, well, I'm going to do that. So I started getting it, trying to keep it fine, and that does a pretty good job, but there again, it's going to be a slower process. So my thing is just chop it into bigger pieces. I found like that was the quickest way that I could get all the soap slithers cut up so that I could get it put in my pot and start the cooking process. All right, so I have these chopped up. They're not all real small. Like I say, if you get it, the smaller you get it, the quicker it's going to get into the stage where we can put it in the molds. You do add a small amount of water, but all of the sites that I saw, no one ever said how much. I've got not quite 1/4 of a cup of water, and I'm going to put just a little bit of that in. I'm not going to put that much. The main reason is the more water you put in there, the longer it takes for it to dry out and get solid. And I do want these bars hard. I don't want to put anything in it that would prolong the process. So I've turned the burner on high to start out, and I'm going to use a wooden spoon. You could use a spatula, but I think the wooden spoon is going to stir it a lot better. But as soon as the water starts boiling, I'm going to add that pot on there and cook it. If it doesn't really seem to be melting and I need to add a little more water, I can add just a drop or 2 at a time. And I'm going to set that over here in case I do need to do that. All right, the water's boiling. I'm going to turn it down a little bit, and I'm just going to set this in the pan. I did put a little bit more water so that actually the pan is going to float. In my research, I never found one piece of information that told the exact importance of not just having the pan on boiling water or in a pot, is the fact that you really need a lid. So I'm going to use the mixer to mix up and try to break up some of the larger pieces of the soap. we're going to fill the molds with the soap. I do have it very loose, to say the least. This is like creamed potatoes, so it may take much longer time to dry. I do see why people use the crock pot, but in my situation, I'm going to show you my crock pot. I'm cooking pinto beans in my crock pot right now, so I was so afraid to even try the crock pot because I was afraid that odor from the soap would stay in there, it would ruin the taste of anything I cooked. I think if I was going to do this very often, I would have a dedicated crock pot just for soap making, and I don't think that's what I'm after because I want to be frugal. The idea is to save money, and I don't know that I could save money if I went out and even to a thrift store or Goodwill, and that unless I did it a lot, but you're not going to have that many soap slithers. Let me get this down to where you can see what I'm doing. I want them to be big bars. That's what the family member requested, that they weren't just little bitty bars, because that's what I cut up. It doesn't seem to take that much time for it to dry out, but I'll find out because I do want them very hard. I don't want soft bars of soap that melts. Now you do want to take this and you drop it 2 or 3 times or more. Let it settle down and get the air bubbles out. I am going to make laundry detergent out of all the residue. I did add quite a bit of water in there. You can see it's already melting in, and I thought that was a very frugal thing to do. I have 8 bars put in the molds, and I'll come back as soon as they dry and I'll show you the finished product. I have learned many things while making this soap. I have learned that it takes more water than what you're shown on the sites that I had gone to. Quite a bit more for the soap that I used. Even after I added more water and I was able to take the hand mixer and mix up the soap slithers to get them into smaller chunks and to give them more liquid, it doesn't seem to have hurt the drying power. I haven't had them outside very long at all, but I was smoothing out the soap. You see how it is not smooth on the very top. Then I got to thinking, I wonder if it will pop out. Yes, it does. And look on the bottom. It's more smooth. Now this particular one has some little characters that happened accidentally. This one did not. It stayed smooth, and I pressed it down. Once I turned it over, because it's still soft, it's not quite hard enough. So I'm going to do that with the other 3 bars. This one has character, and that's just looks pretty good. This one is more smooth. I didn't mash it down quite far enough, but you can kind of smooth out the characters if you like. I think I'm going to leave that one. That one's cute. But I'm going to get them all flipped over, mash them down, smooth a little bit on the top, and then even if there's little flakes, you can press that into the soap because, like I say, it is soft. It's not real soft, but it is soft yet. It hasn't quite dried. I was blown away that I could actually flip them at this point. So I think they're going to feel a lot better than what I first envisioned. I also learned that if you can cut down the slivers Actually, grating them would probably do really well, but at least get it just as small as you possibly can. They're going to melt a lot quicker. You're going to spend half the time or less than half the time as what I spent. I spent several hours just getting them to melt. I lost track of time, and I didn't really set a timer to see how long it took me. But I think I did, because it was new to me. I did not do the quick processes that I should have done, or I could have done if I wanted to put this in my crock pot. In a crock pot, it's going to do probably in an hour and a half. It took me several more hours to get mine soft enough to actually take the beater, and I had to add more water. I didn't realize that whenever I first started it. You've got to add more water as you go along. All right, so they are coming out very nicely. No matter what you do, one side is going to be kind of whoppy jawed, if that is a word. Main thing is they got rebatched and remade. So, they come out so easy in this silicone mold. It really does a good job. So the molds can be used for a lot of different things, and I believe my family member told me it was just a few dollars. It didn't cost very much at all. But I have 8 nice remade bars of soap. I am going to advise that he lets them set a little longer so that they do get harder even, but they look pretty good and they smell good. I think he'll be very pleased. I thank you for watching, and I hope you come back to see us again, and may God bless you and your family.